So they'll be calling you radical. So Rachel, inside Japan, first off I want to say this and then we start. This video is historic and is an incredible indictment on the marine biology departments in California, on the media, in Oregon, in Washington. It's an indictment on all these agencies, the government, that we are doing this. Rachel, in Japan, a mother, Kevin Blanche full of leukemia, 2 grassrooters, we have to do all this one. All these government agencies, all these people, what an indictment. Go ahead, Rachel, introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Rachel Cadoya. We're here in San Diego right now, and I was born in Tijuana, Mexico, and grew up here in San Diego. My stepdad is in the Navy, or was in the Navy, and when I was about 19, we got transferred over to Japan, Yokosuka, Japan, and it was there that I learned to speak Japanese. A few years later, met my husband, got married, I have 3 daughters, and I was raising them over there in Japan when Fukushima happened. So when Fukushima blew, you know, I didn't know anything about radiation, I didn't know anything about nuclear reactors or even where my electricity came from. I had no idea. So I didn't even care. And but I learned real quick. When I looked up Chernobyl to see what this was all about, and I saw the things that happened over there and the children that were born to the children, you know, 20 years later, and I saw the effects of that. Then I got real scared. I dove right into it, learned all about it. You know, I got myself a couple of guide counselors.
So in the beginning, when it happened, that's how we know each other.
Yeah, I mean, I was searching YouTube for answers, everything on the internet, because in Japan they were lying. They were saying there was no nuclear explosion.
And so you found my YouTube videos.
Found your YouTube videos, and I immediately felt validated for the feelings I was having because of the passion that you had in your videos about nuclear fallout, and it taught me a lot.
Now this is important. This is important. So Rachel did all this work. This is grassroots work. She went around, she got samples, she did all this stuff. She's not some American GI's wife living in Okinawa. She's a grassroots activist. She speaks 3 languages fluently. She's all this. She's a mother. She went in, she dug in, did all the dirty work, got the samples. Now she did this in 2011 and 2012. Now she backed out. She came home, and I was right here the whole time, and she didn't connect with me, whatever, because she was...
So yeah, I evacuated from Japan a year and a half after the explosions.
Now let me finish this. Real important, because we Skyped with some grassroots activists. This is real important. They went after activists in Japan in a hardcore way. They went after them here, but more even there. They locked them up. They put them in jail, so she was scared. I Skyped with one of her hardcore grassroots. I mean, there's some really serious activists in Japan. We Skyped the other night with them, and they're going to be willing to start putting up some data and have these conversations. This is important, not just in Japan, in the United States. When Rachel came home with this data, she didn't connect with me until recently because she was afraid, and rightfully so. So go ahead and let's do this.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and play this video. What I would do over there is I would follow the city officials who would go to the different elementary schools, and they would test. They would take readings to see what the radiation was. So
talk to your friends in Spanish and in Japanese so they can get part of this too, because we have Spanish-speaking people that are watching this video and Japanese that don't speak English. So go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Yo soy Raquel y viví en Japón por muchos años con mi esposo, que eres un japonés. Y yo viví ahí cuando explotó en Fukushima, y ahorita voy a hablar en esas cosas. And I'll say in Japanese, konnichiwa minasan, Nihon no tomodachi ni, 私は角谷レイチョです。日本に横須賀に住んでました。11年と12年、福島の後にガイガーカウンターでいっぱい測定しました。その時土を取った。高いところに土と取りました。その土をラボに送ってデータをもらった。その時このビデオ とそのデータは出さなかった。ちょっと怖いかった。あとみんなの顔を見せないように出さなかったからアメリカに戻った。サンディエゴに住んでる今で、もう7年間が取ったと、ケビン・ブランチさん、多分いっぱい人が分かる。この人はいっぱいヌクリアの反対の人と会ってこのビデオを作るから、これは初めて出すデータだから見てください。だいたい英語で話すからすいませんけど、データは日本語で。このビデオは粟田小学校、横須賀の粟田小学校で、その校長先生はいい先生。I'm saying the principal at this elementary school was a good principal. 自分のガイガーカウンターを持ってた。He had his own Geiger counter, and he would check
on a stick, right?
On a stick, on a meter stick.
Now let's get to this data. Let's get.
So we're going to look at this video here.
And she has tons of it. This is important too. This is the beauty of her grassroots activism. Not only does she have the data, she took and had tested in the independent lab, followed around these people and did this data. She videoed her doing all the dirty work. So it's unarguable. It's freaking Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. This is incredible stuff. Here, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to recap what it was you just saw on there, I did not name the name of the school at that time, but now I'm going to tell you it's Awata Elementary School in Yokosuka. I just said it was like a generic Yokosuka
Which is 150 miles from
Fukushima, yeah. And so right here they're taking a reading. These are the city officials taking the reading. They have to take it from 1 centimeter, and then they take it again from 50 centimeters. And you can hear the principal there talking. He's very concerned because the next door, next to this gutter, they share a yard with the elementary school. Actually, they share a garden where they do gardening. The kids, that's part of the curriculum, they do gardening there. And the old people also come out. This is like an old, like a rest home kind of place. And so he's concerned because, you know, the radiation, the cesium and strontium and these types of things can affect their heart muscles. So even for the elderly, it's not safe. And so, but also, you know, for the children, it really affects the children there.
Now
so
remember, you told me that you just found out recently that they had already cleaned this up before they did this.
Yeah, so this is the second time around. I didn't know that the city had done this survey and...
Which you can't clean it up.
Yeah, you can't. It just keeps popping up because the reason they do the gutters is because it accumulates. So all the dust is floating around while the kids are playing, all the fallout, you know, that gets redistributed out into the atmosphere. If it's not cleaned up, if they don't even make an effort to clean it up, this is just going to be recycling. You know, my friend, the activist, her son, from one of these gutters that you're looking at right now, every year they have the elderly go out and they clean out the gutters for the elementary schools. And they just pile it up right there on the side of the gutter. And I have another video that you'll see one of these piles. Well, her kid was playing King of the Mountain and came home with a big old rash. That's how she got involved with all of this, how she became an activist.
She went and had that tested, right?
Yep, and they had it because it came out in the news. This is the first school, not this school, but the school where her kid was playing. It was the first school to come out in the news in Yokosuka that yes, there is radiation fallout, radioactive fallout in our schoolyards. If it's in the schoolyard, guess what? It's everywhere. And it's in my front yard. My front yard. I have another video of my front yard. The Yokosuka Navy base.
Let's get back to these.
Yep. So, yeah. So here I'm taking the reading, and you're gonna see. I'm just gonna fast forward here, or if you want to fast forward here to 0.6. I'm sorry, the 6 minute line. So. Let me just let you know that the city will take readings here, and if it doesn't go above 0.59 microsieverts per hour, they're not going to clean it up. This is the decided upon level that, you know, I went
so-called
to
safe
level. And you would not believe how they came up with these numbers. Also, we could do another video just talking about that. But they based it on kids being at school for 8 hours a day, and they divided that up, and they said, okay, well then that's going to be what's safe, is because, you know, based off of 8 hours a day of exposure. So that's what everybody in the city gets. That's what all kids get. That's what everybody gets, you know, and obviously we're exposed 24 hours a day. If it's here, it's there. So you can see it's 0.67.
Now what she did, she followed them around. There says that she snuck in there. in the dumpsters, in the thing, she got the orange peeling, she got it, and then she redug the dirt where they did it, and she went to an independent lab. And she had to test it, and wait till you see the results. And the thing is, she has all these results, and they've never been seen before. We showed some of them on the video on the beach down there that we've reconnected.
Yeah.
And so, that's the grassroots, a dirty hard work. She had to sneak in there, she had to hide in her car, she had to dig it out, she took incredible risks. Now, I did a radio show inside Tokyo with a grassroots podcaster with a professor, in 2011 before I got cancer, and he's disappeared. They arrested them all, and so, you can talk about some of the risks as you go along. Here we go.
Yeah, well, a lot of the moms, not just risks so much, but also just socially, everybody's afraid. Like, they did not want me to take readings while I was with them. They didn't want.
This is her right here. This is Rachel doing this herself, digging out. You can hear her. I mean, this is dirty, nasty. She's digging.
It's disgusting. It's like caca.
Whoa.
Yeah, it looks like caca.
Now, quickly talk about the group of mothers that you got involved with in this. What was the name of your group?
Our group was called No Hoshano. Hoshano means radiation. So No Hoshano.
And they were moms.
We were mostly moms. There was like maybe 1 or 2 dads that were in there, but most of the dads would not speak up.
But then you connected with the really hardcore activists that exist in Japan.
Yeah. So that's where we went undercover. Sometimes we, went and stole trash, things that they were throwing away that we knew was radioactive food that they were feeding to the kids. Things like
and
that.
had it tested, independent lab, and she has the data, and she filmed her doing all this. So you can't say, well, oh no, they like the government does. Oh no, that was a sound, we use this. No, this is all, this is as good a science as you will ever get. It's better than Berkeley ever dreamed of doing, better than these academia marine biologists, because this isn't crop, this is not Chris Busby or Arnie Gundershill or all these paid propagandists, it's RT Duluth. This is documented hardcore evidence by an insider.
So it was interesting too, just to note, I was rewatching these videos, and I saw there that that at one point when the city was taking a reading, the principal was also taking a reading, and I was taking a reading. The city officials' readings were lower than both the principal and my reading. I have that on another clip of this video, the same trip here. But I was really concerned because they weren't taking readings where the kids were playing. And I vocalized that several times, and then they ended up telling me I can't record. They have their set places where they're going to test, but they're testing in the gutters. The kids are not going and playing in the gutters. I wanted them to test.
Dirt pile. That's fairly great evidence. That your friend did that. That's where the kids are playing. We tested where the kids were playing. It was dramatically, her data shows 50 times, 20 times, 30 times over the so-called safe limits.
Yeah, so I'm just ending up this video here, and then the next video we're going to go into is me preparing the stuff for the lab. So that was really important for me because I want other people who are doing or want to do this in Japan, if they want, or anywhere, they can see how you got to do it. You got to put it in special containers that the lab sends you, and you mail it to them, and you got to write down where you got it and everything like that. But this is me right in front of my house in my pajamas, and I'm really embarrassed about how I look here.
Oh, you look great.
The faces I make and stuff, because there's a lot of creepy crawlers in this mud. It's really nasty, and it's like it grosses me out, and I'm like, I'm gagging as I'm doing this. And it's really like, why am I the one that's doing this? We've got all this technology, we've got all these trained people. Why were none of them doing it? Or if they were, why were they not telling us? I have
and I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I'll talk about this indictment on these cover-up in the marine biology departments and the media. It's an indictment, it's malice, it's criminal, it's the greatest cover-up of the greatest crimes in human, and it's done with malice, and I can prove it, and we'll talk about that in. But go ahead, let's get this down.
Yeah, right after Fukushima blew, they told us it was not a nuclear explosion. It was not a meltdown. It took a year and a half for me to convince anybody it was a meltdown. Yeah, I knew it was because of you, and some other stuff that was out there, and also in October I got my first Geiger counters. That's when I started testing. That's when it was proof to me that there is fallout in our town. Even the people on the Navy base were saying that no, there's nothing to worry about. We're testing. it's fine. We're testing and everything's
Obama
fine.
told us that on the freaking national news here.
They had a guy, a scientist from the army. It was a Japanese army, right there in our town. He was coming to our group meetings and explaining to us, and he even showed us how to use Geiger counters, showed us the data that he was getting and everything. Everything was fine, and that was just turned out he was just put there to shut us up because we
call that false equivalency in our world, which is the Chris Busby's, the Arnie Gundersons of the world. ZRT. Busby goes on television on ZRT and it says the solution to pollution is dilution. Well, that just isn't an indictment on either. Number one, he's green as grass and doesn't have a 7th grade background in science. Anybody who teaches at the 7th grade level knows that nuclear fallout does not dilute, or he's lying with malice.
Really? Do I have to do
Now
this?
why? So, and I'll get into that, but you go ahead.
Well, yeah, when I watch these videos, I just remember how my hair is down. I feel like so embarrassed because, I'm just imagining all of the dust
In your
in
hair.
my hair. But you know what, if I was, you think about it, I'm walking around with my hair down. Anytime the dust could be getting into my hair.
Your
but
skin, your hair, your
everything.
your food, your water, your breath that you breathe.
I was even thinking, toilet paper. If they came out in the pollen, it's in the wood, it's in, it's going to be in everything. But anyways, one thing that comes to my mind right now is my daughter, my youngest daughter was in kindergarten, and the kindergartners, they play in the sandbox. I talked to the teachers, I said I did not want them playing in the sandboxes. I saw pictures of them that the school teachers took, and she was in the sandbox. They even had this one day where they put water out in the sandbox and they they make it into mud. They let all the kindergartners take off all of their clothes down to their underwear, and they're playing in the mud. So I have a video of me testing that same exact sandbox, and it was at 0.21 microsievert. So 0.21 means way over.
Over double.
Yeah, that's over.
No, 4, excuse me. That's 4 times over their so-called safe limit.
No, 0.21 was not. 0.59 is their limit. So
0.59.
So it's half of that. But still, based on the radionuclide, the cesium, the data that I have, 0.21 is going to give you, could give you 5,000.
Well, that's irrelevant anyway because you have the test after you test it, and you'll see what the real data is. That's all hearsay data. That's all their data. Okay, so we're going to see the real data.
Real data. So right here, I'm gathering their dirt, getting it ready. I put it all inside the little bucket thing, and it's all ready to go to the lab, and I just mail it off to them. So that's what you're seeing right here. But going back to my daughter, I tested spots around my house with my Geiger counter, and the highest spot that I found in my house, which was like a 0.35, that was on my daughter's pillow. And so that's why, I look at my hair and I remember my daughter's hair.
Like I say, they're small. They were little children. They're small to the girth. They're small to the ground.
Yeah, any dust that's blowing up, any wind that's blowing the dust up, guess where it's going to be caught? Right in their hair, like a filter. And her pillow.
Makes sense.
Yep, her pillow was the highest spot in my house. So the next thing that I want to show you guys here, is the data that I got. What are the results? So I followed where they're going at the elementary schools, where they test. They said it was not high enough to be cleaned up. They said it's not high enough to be cleaned up because it was only 0.43.
Like they could clean it up anyway.
Yeah, and so it was I got a 0.67 because I put my Geiger counter directly onto the dirt. They start with a centimeter away.
But the thing that's going to be compelling, that it's going to be hardcore evidence, that is unarguable proof, is this.
This data. So right there where I got the 0.67, I dug it up, and you can see here that this was taken on June 28th, 2012. And I just labeled it myself dirt, and the quantity is 1,200 grams. And the density is right there, and this was taken at Awata Elementary School in
give the date.
So this was June 2012.
And it's 150 miles south of Fukushima, correct? Am I
yes,
right?
150 miles away from the explosions. And you can see over here on the right side, there's the iodine 131 that has the 8-day half-life. This had no reading
there.
there.
It's got an 8-day half-life. This is a year and a half later. Of course, it's gone.
And so here the cesium-137 this is the fingerprint for Fukushima. When the cesium-134 and the 137 are about equal, that means that came out from that
because
same
one's
period.
natural occurring and another's the other. And so this is...
Well, this is actually what comes out, and they're both
perfectly correlated.
Yeah, so this is a year after, so you see the 134 is a little bit lower. When you know that it's from Fukushima because of the 134 is less than the 137.
Hang on right there. This is really important. This is really important. Remember, when Fukushima happened and it was pluming into the air, the wind was blowing out. Not directly here. It was blowing out, but we see what that got. Now, this is real important. This contamination is most likely from the first 6 days of the explosion. After the first 6 days of the explosion, the decision was made inside the IEA, and I have all the transcript. I've read it online. John Holden, they knew it was a meltdown within days. They went into cover-up mode illegally. Then they made the decision to dump water on it. So the water, just because that cesium-131 doesn't show up, because this is contamination that happened in the first 6 days. This is real important. Because then it was pushed into the water, and it's been pushed in the water for 7 years into the Pacific Ocean. Thus, that would give you the idea. So to think that it's more contaminated right there, I can guarantee you, Gildan and Goldcast, it is more contaminated right here in the tide pools at La Jolla, at PB, at Point Loma, than it ever is there, because that was 6 days in the plume, in the air, is where that contamination is. The rest of the time, it's been pushed into the Pacific Ocean. Directly, not into the air. So
yeah. So the two cesiums together gives us 5,182 becquerels per
50
kilogram.
times over their so-called legal limit. 50 times.
Yeah.
50 times. Now remember, they had town hall meetings. They were keeping everybody abreast of this, just like the Obama administration, Gina McCarthy, Crash Radnet, just like the Trump administration's keeping us. I mean,
they said everything's fine. It really upsets me because they said...
They were having town hall meetings and having people there where people could show up, right?
Yeah.
Mothers could show up.
Yeah.
And it was government employees presenting these town hall meetings?
Yeah, and that everything's fine, nothing to worry about. You know, it's just like it was back before Fukushima happened. You know, the readings are not that high. You know, but even the readings that were not that high, I have proof that there could be a lot of becquerels of cesium. And if cesium's there, plutonium's there.
Absolutely.
And all the hundreds and thousands of other isotopes.
Now, this is real important. This is incredibly important. Because of the USS Reagan trial, because of what this proves that, oh, we didn't know, which that's always been what the government standard is. This proves they lied, which we know in the United States law and world law, that is called malice. That is called, so we have murder charges in the United States court system, most court systems in the world. Okay, we have manslaughter, man, wife get mad, freaking, it's an acute situation, blah, blah, blah. Didn't know what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. Then what we have, premeditated murder. Okay, we have, the statute is what, malice? So her data proves unequivocally, freaking Gildan and Goldcast and Crane, that this, I'm one of them. I was almost murdered, they said to me. This was done with malice. Now this is important because the USS Reagan trial is here in San Diego. And this is an incredible indictment on San Diego Media. Channel 7, Channel 10, Channel 8, because I talked to them all yesterday at Del Mar. And they all know me. This is an indictment on San Diego State, Oregon State, Cal Berkeley, every marine biologist in this country, all media. I don't care if it's classified or not classified. This proves that you all have blood in your hands. This was done with malice because they are lying to you. They are lying to us, and this proves. So this isn't, well, we really didn't know. So go ahead.
Yeah. And you know what I just found out also was that this was the second cleaning up of it. And I'm going to show that to you right now.
And you just found that out.
Just last night, actually, because I was trying to gather the one I know from the readings from the day that I went and collected data. They posted it on their website. You know, the map and the readings of what they got, and that's here.
Now, this is being shot in San Diego, California, on the 19th of July, 2018. This isn't. We're not shooting. 7 years. Well, go ahead.
Okay. So I will show you the readings from the day that I went, you know, and just remember it was a 0.43 microsievert. So if you look at this little map, you know, and they have it listed down here. They have the, this is June of 2012. And over here on the right side, this is November of 2011. So if you look here, I'm just realizing something right now. Okay, anyway, let me just say what I was going to say, and then I'm just realizing something. This is a point on number 9. Number 9 is where I took my dirt sample from. That's the 0.43 reading. Okay, so that was...
their readings.
Yeah, this is their readings. So when they checked it back in November 2011, they go by a different year system. So this is 24 means 2012, 23 means 2011. So they got in that same spot a lower reading before. They got 0.30 in that spot. So after cleaning it up, or I guess they didn't clean it up there because it wasn't 0.59 yet. Later on, they tested it again. This just shows that it's getting more and more contaminated. It's accumulating more and more in these spots where it accumulates. And so, but this is what's going to freak me, what's going to freak you out, what just freaked me out that I just realized. If I go to this other data that I just discovered last night, and it's in English here, this is at the same school, but up on the rooftop here, number 3, here, they found a 0.9 up on the rooftop, which freaks me out to know that there was a 0.9 because we got for a 0.43, we got 5,000 becquerels. What is it, I wonder, for the 0.9? What was that on the rooftop?
Let's just do the math real quickly. So the math quickly, okay, so you go from that, I mean, we can do math, right? So that would put you at, let's see, let me quickly do it. So we're talking at well over 11,000, 12,000, right?
Oh yeah, because I got, you know what? It's really hard to say because on the Navy base they had I got 13,000 off of a point.
You did get 13,000
or 0.3. Yeah, it was 13,000 becquerels.
Now remember, this is not some Geiger counter reading. She had it tested in a lab, and she did everything probably, and it's well documented. It's historical. So the Geiger counter didn't really say it was that high, but when we got it tested, there was a lot of cesium. And I've said this for years, and this is important to the Geiger counter counters out there. Everybody says, "Why do you use Geiger?" I've got Geiger counters. Look, there's a big difference. Geiger county readings can be all over the map. It's not good science. I'm telling you. I mean, yeah, we can get them, we can pop them up. This is the good science. Tested inside a lab with a soil sample. That's the hardcore science. I mean, I can take a sample here, there. It's so, you know, debatable on the Geiger counter readings because there's so many variables. But this is not. This is concrete, hardcore scientific data. And so there it is. And I'm wondering if this is like, if they fibbed a little bit because... Oh, no, they wouldn't do that. Because these readings here on this document shows something totally different. Look at this document that the one that I had access to when I did this. They put this out on the website. This is the one I've been seeing. So they probably changed. You think they've changed the website since? Yeah. Well, they just added this document or something. I don't know when they added the one that shows. So it's recently added, and it's different. I don't see any 0.9 here. Do you see any 0.9? No. So that's what just freaked me out right now. They didn't put this out when I was looking at it. When I was testing, when I was following them around. They didn't show that they did this in November. So here's what I call that, which we know that they do that. It's called boil the frogs nicely. It's just like now, we'll tell them the truth 7 years hence. Don't tell them when it's happening. That's what they did. It's in perfect correlation with the cover-up of this industry and how they operate. This is no new model that's been built. They did it in Hiroshima. They did it in Nagasaki. They did it in Chernobyl. They did it in the Nevada test site. They did it at Santa Susana right here. I won't stop there. They keep going. Santa Onofre, we didn't even know that it was a meltdown. Yeah, well, I knew and I reported, but they don't believe me, you know. So, but again, this is so important because of the USS Reagan trial pending. Now, I was in the bone marrow transplant with one of those young men when I got cancer in 2012. He died. So that is right here in San Diego, doctor out of San Diego. They sent it, and this is real important. Now, hear me. Because you know, I can say it now. Before, I danced around it because it was classified, but Holden let the cat out of the bag, which I told you from day one. So inside the Situation Room, John Holden, the Science and Technology team lead, now he's admitting everything that I've said. Inside the Situation Room, I will quote John Edwards, who's done a media interview now, I can tell now what I've had, which I told you anyway. John Holden took the keys. In fact, Gregory Jacka was head of the NRC then. He was forced to stand down. Everybody was forced to stand down in that room. Holden, who is a eugenist from Cal Berkeley, he wrote his PhD on eugenics, you know, pro-nuclear you. He says in his own words in this recently published grassroots interview, he says, we knew by 4:43 p.m. on March 11th inside the Situation in the White House, these were meltdowns. That's big stuff. Now hear me out. We got called back. I was there for 9 hours. I went home. Within an hour I was called back on the phone. Back at it. We immediately gathered 32 team we put together of so-called expert scientists to handle this. MIT, Oregon State, San Diego State, Cal Berkeley, the usually nuclear teams, and what they did, they went into pure cover-up mode. So on the 17th of March, Obama gives the press conference. He stands on the White House lawn. He says, I want you to know, we're going to get... They were all flown out to South America as this plume went over us. And they made the decision, of course, to go in total cover-up mode. They've classified me. I have emails proving now from the Army Corps of Engineers, from San Onofre, that are showing up in the internet now 5 years later. Does this say unclassified, Kevin Blanche? What? And so, this is important. Because of the USS Reagan trials here in San Diego, they were docked here. They sent it in and radiated. It proves they knew. They did it anyway. Now, the Admiral said, point blank, I want the entire United States military personnel evacuated. Talk a little bit about that, Rachel, because you were there on the base. Talk about, was that contemporary knowledge that they were going to evacuate everyone?
Yeah, everybody thought that they were going to, the families from the George Washington were going to get on the George Washington and be taken out. That's the carrier that was over there. They had to actually leave the dock and decontaminate because they...
Now, she was there. Remember, she's there. This is not a second-hand account. Mm-hmm. So, 32 ships were sent in. This was not a Operation Friendship. This was an evacuation order. Now, the Reagan, of course, was already there, so he was sent right in. They raided the bejesus out of those guys, including Danielle Valentine, who was on that ship years later. Her dad contacted me and dropped dead. How many kids have they killed? You know, and so the data cover-up, so they sent them in. Now, this is real important. This case is set to go forward right here in San Diego. The appeal of the appeals of abandoned saucers. The California Appellate Court. This is important that we're doing this time. We'll post this video. It'll be a year ago, I believe, in 2 days, that the Appellate Court, they took forever, ruled, no, you can't stop it, it's going forward. Now, this is real important. Edwards, I hope you're listening. I hope Bonner and Bonner, and I hope they're watching. Because this is real important. So, TEPCO inside, because I've been there the whole time, says this. You're saying that we lied and you didn't know. This proves that the United States government did know. It's a fact, you know, put me on the stand. Put Rachel on the stand. So, but, this suit's against General Electric, Mitsubishi, Hitachi. That's where the liability's at. This is an incredible indictment on the United States government. This is an incredible indictment on the California media, on academia, on marine biologists, on everybody that plays along and goes along with this team. You all have blood on your hands. But this proves the malice. Mm. And this case is ready to go forward right here. 43 of those kids, just of the plaintiffs, I mean, of this group that we know of, are already dead. Mm. Young. So this is so important right here in San Diego. And your father, a Navy guy, that's how you got there, right? Mm-hmm.
That's how you originally went to Japan.
So talk a little bit about the culture that was going on during the evacuation and to the fear and...
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of confusion because they first said they were going to evacuate everybody on the base.
They did say that.
And they did say that they were going to evacuate.
Would you testify to say that they...
Yeah, because my dad...
Now this is
I mean,
important.
I was very connected because my mom and dad moved back to Japan to live over there. And I went to a church off base that was serving the military. And a lot of our church was like empty. After they said that they were going to evacuate, they kept changing. Because my parents were telling me.
Now, who told you they were going to evacuate? The government?
Oh, everybody. Yeah, well,
the officials. There were actually authority that told you
that they
prepare for evacuation.
Yeah, to the families. They were packing. And then all of a sudden, and they even gave out iodine pills.
They did.
But the Japanese didn't give any. I wasn't connected where I could receive iodine pills. My parents got.
Your parents were.
Because my dad, he got a job as a veteran working at the commissary on base.
I see.
And so that's how they were still connected there. But they got iodine pills, and they were going to evacuate the families. The banks were shut down. The schools were shut down. It was like a ghost town on Yokosuka base. My church had like 5 people left in there. Everybody was gone. Everybody was gone. And but they first said they were going to make it a mandatory evacuation. They changed it. They changed it to it's a voluntary evacuation.
See, and that perfectly correlates what I know happened in the situation. Because the Admiral, and he stuck to this a long time. And by the way, sorry about that. By the way, the Admiral stuck to that for a long time. Now this is real important because Rachel and myself have both talked to him. The ex-Prime Minister of Japan.
Koizumi-san.
He looks like Richard Gere on the movie star. He's fantastic. We've both had personal conversations with him here in San Diego. Now, you talked to him in Del Mar at the press conference. I talked to him, I believe it was in Carlsbad or Del Mar at the thing. And we both talked to him. And we've had these conversations. I asked him point blank. You know, and as soon as he saw me, he got all teary-eyed and emotional. He knew me. We'd never met before. And he was very emotional to me and very friendly to me. And I asked him, well, you're so anti-nuclear. Now this is important. You're only going to get this from me. Gregory Jacko, head of the NRC. There's an urban planner that lives in San Diego who's a PhD from Harvard, urban planner, that hooked up via my YouTube site and the Santa Office shut down. And the XPM. They got together. They went on a little bit of a roadshow for a while talking about this, and the government squashed their asses down. So I asked him point blank, you're so anti-nuclear now, and this is so heartbreaking to you now, you're the one who built this up. He says, the United States government made me do it. Yalta by the sea. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, but I just kind of want to go back to...
the data.
Yeah, go back. When you mentioned that it's malice and the blood's on their hands, I'm thinking about just last week, my daughter that had the surgery last year.
Now tell them about that.
She was 11 when she had a cyst in her. They found a cyst in her fallopian tube. That
Here
in San Diego.
Now remember, she was in
kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
She's the one
in
with
Japan.
with the pillow that had
she
the
has a Japanese father.
And
she lived her whole life. Was she born in Japan?
Born in Japan.
Okay, go
born
ahead.
in Japan. You know, and they found a cyst and they operated on her. And the cyst that they found was not on the ovary, so it's more common on the ovary, but at 11 years old, it's very uncommon to find one in the fallopian tube, and it had twisted, stopping blood supply to getting to her ovary. So they operated, and thank God all that kind of stuff is good. But last week I took her into the doctor because we found a lump on her breast, and they did a breast exam on her, you know, 12 years old, having to get a breast exam, and they found another lump on the other one. So both of her breasts have lumps. They said it could be normal, we're waiting to see, but I do have an appointment. They referred me over to the...
Now that's one of the 3 daughters.
Pediatric surgeon, yeah.
So you have 3 daughters, right?
Yeah, so this was last week. Yesterday, my older daughter is in the shower, and she's calling me, Mommy, Mommy, and she says, I felt something on she was washing herself, you know, and I felt it, and sure enough, she had a lump, and so I made an appointment right away, and we went there yesterday, and they said, sure enough, it's a lump, and they said, you know, we wouldn't be so concerned about it, but if you didn't have that background. The pediatrician told me, she's like, you know, with you being in Japan and everything, we're going to get it checked, and so they referred us. So I had to make 2 appointments with a pediatric surgeon.
This is also important because I was in the bone marrow transplant center. You know, I got cancer in fall of 2011, hardcore. This is real important. So people say doctors don't talk. Well, they can't. They're called HIPAA laws. There are plenty of doctors that are talking, including mine. My doctor, I will quote him. He says, inside the LDS East State Bone Marrow Transplant, probably the greatest oncologist in the world, I got lucky enough to get him, from Denmark. He says, Kevin, post-Fukushima, we know they're stronger, we know they're more aggressive, and we're nowhere else. So I have a friend here who's a photographer. He's a famous surf photographer here. He come to me a couple years ago when I was down here on one of my gigs, documenting tide pools. He calls me out of the blue. He says, I didn't know anything about Fukushima. I'm a surfer, been a surfer at Malibu. I went to see my doctor because I had a lump on my testicle. He says, you got tested for cancer. They cut him off. The doctor looked at him and says, you still surfing every day? Yeah. Do you know about Fukushima? He says, no, what's that? And he says, go Google it. His doctor told him that. A year later, he calls me, his niece, at Malibu, famous surfer girl. He says, Kevin, she has ML. Called me just a couple months later, she's passed away. The head of the Fukushima 50's mother, when I used to get him, Mom, their people, sent me the email that he was dying of esophagus cancer 2 weeks before he died. So this thesis that they didn't know, this thesis that they, again, this is the greatest crime in human history, is the cover-up of the greatest event in human history. Not, oh, we didn't know. This is done with malice, just like when they nuked my father in Nevada test site. And I'm living proof, like your daughters, like you say, genetically. My father, human lab rat in the Nevada test site from Pendleton. Drafted Marine. Healthiest dude you ever seen. Never had a cavity in his life. Never mowed down and dies in the prime of his life of AML leukemia. Then I get it? Ha! You tell me it doesn't mutate and move into the gene pool and drag. So go ahead.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna the next video that we do, that we show, is gonna be very connected to the Reagan, because I'll be showing you the dirt samples that I took from right in front of the Officers Club on Yokosuka base.
Wow.
So, and that was just like.
And the samples you sent to the lab and the results, and I've seen all the. You've seen the results. I mean. Yeah. Yeah. They're not what the government said.
Yeah, and there's also an article from one of the town hall meetings that I watched. They took it down from YouTube, but
so this is important. One thing too. Back to your results. Remember, this one result you're showing is 50 times. 50. This is a year and a half later, right?
A year and a half, or a year and 3 months.
A year and 3 months, so 15 months later. 150 miles south. Again, the wind was blowing out when so what's in the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah, the wind was blowing the opposite way, away from us, and that's why they could get away with telling us that don't worry about
Anderson Cooper and Sanjay Gupta were there. CNN, they're there. Sanjay Gupta is a practicing neurosurgeon. This is not Ann Coulter, that dude, it's okay. No, this is a practicing, took the Hippocratic Oath, going to be the guy nominated by the Obama administration to be the Surgeon General. They're there. They're saying, oh, well, should we get out? We'll get out as the wind's blowing out. And they got this character, Jim Walsh, again from MIT, the false and lunacy liar that he is. What an indictment on him. So they come home. 25th March 2011, Sanjay Gupta, MD, Saturday morning. Important show he's got. He goes into total cover mode. He has a doctor from Japan on the show. This is the day Liz Taylor died. And he says, oh, she says, my 11-year-old best friend died after Hiroshima of leukemia, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. Then he goes, oh, I found out that radiation is not bad. It's good for you, because I use it to cure cancer, blah. And he went into this incredible propaganda. I went crazy on my YouTube site. You remember. I went psycho about it. They pulled the transcript. You can't get it nowhere. And I kept doing it over and over and over and over. Find it. I don't have it. I hand it. I whistled for it, like CNN sent it to me. I didn't care. I put it on freaking. I read it. I threw it all over the internet. Of course, they hands put it back up. Again, malice. I know for a fact, because I've been told, I have plenty of whistleblowers. I have lots of stuff that I know for a fact that's been classified. You know, I know for a fact when Anderson Cooper and Sanjay Gupta got home, they were not only briefed in Japan, they were briefed in New York City by the powers there be. And not only were they told to stand down, and this proves again malice. Stand down. No, a passing nurse is going to go into attack mode. That's enough crime to put him in prison for the rest of his life. You can go. I mean, I got cancer after that. I could have took precautions. I could have done things.
Yep.
So it's malice.
Yeah, if you're already at risk, if your body's not, if your like immune system's low or something, you know, you could be.
You know what the number one precaution could have been done, number one, now that I've been through the whole cancer fight and everything, is I say live like cancer before you have cancer. The number one thing we could have done is bolster our immune system. We could have started drinking more juice, which I know that now. That's, you know, after I've had open heart surgery, I've had my gallbladder ripped out. I was in a bone marrow transplant center. I was going in a coma for how long, dying walking the coast with a central line hanging out of me. You know, what a war I've gone through. Now, I look back. If we would have been told, just like your daughters, we would have been told the truth.
It would have been different. It would have been different. Right when it happened, we evacuated to Okinawa, and we left for 3 weeks. And then my husband called and said, "It's fine. Everything's fine. Come back. Don't worry about it."
Because they were lying.
And then they treated me like I was crazy. They had a term called monster parent for mothers like me that didn't want them to drink the milk. They thought we were crazy because the whole society thought that everything's fine, and these people that are just wacko, you're overthinking it, just smile and you'll be healthy.
A mother who intuitively is trying to protect her children is turned a monster. A guy falling for his life, full of leukemia, is out talking today, is called crazy. Who's crazy?
Exactly.
Who's crazy? Fukushima now is the greatest mental. It's more than that. I mean, this going along with the winning team. Who are the criminals? Not you and I. We're doing what human beings should do. You did what any real good mother should do. You know, Kathy did the same thing. I went with her children. She came back to Sandy. That's how we beat San Onofre. She had a vote. You know, so, I mean, it's beyond outrageous. And it's because, again, the government lied. The international community lied. The media lied. And it's not just to cover up, oh, we didn't know. I can prove it at the USS Reagan. I'm the only activist right there. I told Lori, look, they're flying the flag upside down, number one, right across there, as they're making this. There's Channel 7 right above our heads. Channel 7, NBC, San Diego affiliates headquartered right above the USS Reagan trial at the Edward Schwartz building on one of the biggest decisions ever made in the history of California. I says, why is there no media here? You know, Bill Beeb's there, you know, the attorneys, everybody's there. And I says, look, they're too far away. Oh, they don't know? Oh, they know? Go ask every one of them because I talked to them, I emailed them. They all know me. Oh, they know. So you tell me why they weren't there. You don't think this is a cover-up? You don't think this is a big-time crime? You don't think this is mass murder? You're a fool. You're a fool. And go ahead and go along with the winning team. You know, I mean, at this point, especially after seeing your data, because I always had an intuitive sense that this was true over there.
Well, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. That's what I felt like. Having the data, saying, look, showing it right there in their faces.
Well, not only
and them
that.
telling me I'm crazy.
Not only telling you crazy.
Qualified.
Same with me. They went after us. They hired PR firms online to attack a guy in critical condition.
I was being watched.
Oh, I can prove it they went after me. Now remember, I'm in critical condition with cancer. Those are felonies to go after me. I mean, I was in critical condition. Now think about it. My own government will go after and attack me. Why? Because I'm just trying to fight for my own life? I'm trying to live? I'm trying to fight and just defend the truth? And they go after us like this? Talk about a story. Talk about malice. Oh my God. I mean, a mother trying to protect her children? Huh. I mean, it's beyond heartbreaking. You know, who's to blame, you know?
It's frustrating. You know, I was, my own husband said he would put me in a mental institution.
Well, he doesn't say that now, right?
No. He was heavily brainwashed, just like the rest of them over there. He
and I don't even think it was brainwashed. I think the government just lied to them so they, you know.
It was the propaganda. It was all the propaganda that was going on. Billboards with boy bands eating Fukushima.
Tell us about Lady Gaga over there.
Yeah, they recalled the green tea, the really, really, really expensive green tea, which was further away from Fukushima than I was. They recalled it. They had to get rid of all of this because it's leafy. It's leafy. It absorbs. And then not even within that same month, Lady Gaga was out there doing concerts and
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, NHK shows her on TV walking out on stage drinking the green tea, and they're doing all this stuff. You know, they're sending green tea companies are going out to New York, and they're doing these green tea shows and everything, and everybody's getting all poo-poo la-la about green tea. You know, but they had just recalled the green tea.
And I'm sure Lady Gaga doesn't even know what she was doing. And if she does, Cancer karma. I mean, I hope you don't get cancer, girl. You know, she's a Brooklyn girl. I know a lot of people that know her. I don't think she knew. It's just like this Rita Fukushima, the celebrity here. I went to her and I says, she was using that as her Hollywood name. I'm like, whoa. You know, so this, but if you did know, you know, it's just like the propaganda machine on the Sochi tea, the torch relay, the Olympic Games, all this propaganda. You go around the rest of the world, we don't get the, it's all planned. It's all boycotted to this day. And they propaganda us, not here, of course, us. Feed these dumb freaking sheep, whatever. What is the United States anymore? We're human lab rat. I'll tell you what the United States has evolved into. We're not even a, you know, oil extracting energy company with an army anymore. You know, what we've turned into is the nuclear energy crime syndicates, human lab rats. That's what the United States is. We're human lab rats to extract, to experiment, and we have to give them our money to do it. We bail them out, we throw them money, we worship with their feet that they walk on. I mean, San Onofre proves that. I mean, look at the attacks on me trying to expose the truth of San Onofre. I mean, the SWAT team had a gun in my face at the thing. They called the SWAT team on me with a gun in my face when I have permits to protest. And why should I even need a permit? So your data, I'm telling you, and I would hope Edwards and Bonner and these guys are watching this, because I'll tell you what we're going to do. You don't play with us and you don't want to go down there, we will stand right in front of, because I already have a permit, because I've already been working through the system on I have a permit to protest